Chosen one, let me ask you something straight from the Spirit. Have you ever asked, why did God allow my relationship to end? Why did someone you gave your heart to, someone you thought was a divine blessing, suddenly become a stranger? Why did the bond that once felt like destiny come crashing down like it never meant anything? If these questions have been echoing in your soul, then this message is not just for you. It's about you. And it couldn't have reached you at a better time. You're not here by accident. This isn't some random video you stumbled across. The Most High has aligned your steps to hear this message right now, because something in your spirit is ready to awaken to a deeper truth. This is a divine appointment. You are a chosen one. You are not like the rest. You don't operate under the same spiritual laws as the world. And the relationships in your life, especially the ones that break you, are often being used to shape, shift, and separate you for divine purpose. What you called a breakup, God called a breakthrough. That divorce, that heartbreak, that separation, it wasn't a loss. It was a surgical removal. God said, you were divorced from your partner for a divine reason. And in this video, we're going to dive deep into what that means for your life, your calling, and your spiritual elevation. Comment 444 if you feel this message already stirring something inside of you. Subscribe now, tap the bell so you don't miss your spiritual food, and share this with another chosen one who's still trying to make sense of their pain. Stay right here. You're about to understand why what broke you actually built you. Understanding the spiritual identity of the chosen one. Chosen one, before we can even begin to unpack why that relationship had to end, we must first establish who you truly are. You are not just another person walking through life aimlessly, stumbling into situations with no meaning. You are marked, set apart, consecrated for a higher calling. From the moment you took your first breath, your life was already aligned with divine purpose. You may not have known it, your family may not have seen it, but heaven has always been aware of who you are. The chosen ones are not selected based on status, education, wealth, or appearance. No, the chosen are handpicked by God because of their spirit, because of the divine seed planted within them. You were chosen in the fire, through trials, through rejection, through loss, and through abandonment. Your pain was not meaningless. Every scar on your soul was proof of your assignment. That's why your relationships don't look like everyone else's. That's why your heartbreak hits differently. You don't love on a surface level. When you connect spiritually. You pour from your soul. That's why when it breaks something deep within you. But that's also why God doesn't let just anyone stay in your life. Your spirit is sacred. Your calling is too heavy for unequally yoked partnerships. You may have noticed, your life has never followed the so-called normal path. While others settle, you've always felt something pulling you higher. You might not have had the words to describe it, but deep inside, you knew there was something different about you. And that difference isn't pride, it's purpose. God has been refining you, shaping you, and removing things and people that don't align with your anointing. Many chosen ones carry a heavy emotional burden because they've been placed in environments where they don't belong spiritually. You were born in dysfunction not to adopt it, but to overcome it. You've been around betrayal, abandonment, confusion, and heartbreak. But through it all, God has been forming your identity, not as a victim, but as a vessel. When you're chosen, your spiritual frequency is high. You're sensitive to things others ignore. You notice what others dismiss. That's not paranoia. That's discernment. Your spirit reacts to energy, to truth, to deception, to false intimacy. And that's why, many times, you couldn't settle in relationships that looked good on the outside but carried darkness underneath. Your soul couldn't rest because your spirit knew something wasn't aligned. And when God saw you struggling to let go, He stepped in Himself. You see, many people think being chosen is about blessings, about being favored. And yes, there is favor. But before the favor comes fire. Before the glory comes separation. Before the divine union comes divine isolation. Because to walk in your full power, God has to first remove every attachment that blocks your vision, including the person you love the most. Being chosen means your relationships are divinely monitored. God will shut doors you're too emotional to close. He will sever ties that feel like soulmates to protect you from soul wounds. You're not being punished, you're being protected. That's why your breakup didn't break you, it birthed you. Some of you are asking, but why did it have to hurt so much? And I'll tell you, because the love you gave wasn't fake. You gave real love to someone who wasn't equipped to carry it. And because your love was rooted in your spirit, the pain of losing them felt like spiritual death. But God is not done with you. He allowed it because that relationship was never meant to define you. It was meant to reveal you. Chosen one, you were not called to be yoked with someone who doesn't recognize the mantle you carry. You're not meant to fight for love that fights against your growth. You're not created to shrink for someone else's comfort. You are called to stand in full spiritual authority. And anyone who cannot walk beside you in that must be released, no matter how much history you shared. The world may see your divorce or separation as failure, but the spirit world sees it as freedom. God disconnected you to reconnect you, to yourself, to your assignment, and eventually to someone divinely aligned. But first, He had to show you you. You are not just chosen, you are anointed. You are a light in dark places, and light cannot be hidden under partnerships that drain its power. It must rise, and to rise sometimes we must release. This is your reminder. You're not broken. You're awakening. Everything that didn't work out, worked out for you. And if you've been feeling alone, misunderstood, or out of place, it's because you are not of this world. You were set apart. And that spiritual identity is the foundation for everything God is about to reveal in your life. Stay rooted. Because what's coming next will make everything you lost make sense. Why the relationship had to end. Chosen one, let's speak truth today. Deep, uncomfortable, liberating truth. That relationship, the one you still replay in your mind, the one you cried over, prayed over, and possibly begged God to save, it had to end. Not because you were unworthy, not because you failed, but because God saw something you couldn't see. And when He says enough, no force in the universe can override that divine command. You see, when you're chosen, your relationships carry weight. They're not just about companionship or emotional comfort. They are assignments, alignments, spiritual agreements. And if someone is walking with you who doesn't carry the spiritual maturity, the integrity, or the destiny alignment to go where you're going, God will allow that relationship to collapse. Sometimes suddenly, sometimes painfully, but always purposefully. Many of you held on to a relationship that was expired in the spirit long before it ended in the physical. You could feel the shift, the distance, the spiritual disconnection. But your heart didn't want to let go. You kept trying to patch a soul tie God was already trying to break. And when God saw you struggling to do what needed to be done, He did it for you. The breakup wasn't the enemy's doing. It was heaven's intervention. Understand this. The person you were with wasn't evil. In fact, they might have even loved you in their own way. But love without spiritual alignment is dangerous. It becomes a distraction, a delay, even a deception. They were sent for a season, not a lifetime. And when the season expired, the assignment did too. But you tried to turn a lesson into a lifetime commitment. That's where the pain came from. Let me be clear, chosen one. Not everyone is assigned to your destiny. Some people were assigned to your past. Others were only meant to trigger your awakening. And some were there to mirror the wounds you hadn't yet healed. God used the relationship as a tool to reveal what was hiding in you. The unhealed trauma, the unresolved pain, the desperate longing for connection. It wasn't about them. It was always about you. God will never allow someone to stay in your life who threatens your becoming. And the truth is, they were standing in the way of your next level. Maybe you didn't want to see it. Maybe you were attached to the comfort, the history, or the illusion of what could have been. But God saw their heart. He saw their motives. He saw what they were saying about you in rooms you weren't in. And most of all, He saw how they were blocking the full manifestation of your purpose. Some of you were tied to people who could only love the old version of you. the broken, insecure, compromising version. But the healed, elevated, spiritually awakened you, they couldn't handle that person. They were intimidated by your growth. They were uncomfortable with your glow. They started to criticize what they once admired. And instead of celebrating your evolution, they resisted it. That was your sign. The relationship had to end because you were outgrowing the spiritual agreement. When two people are not evolving together, one becomes an anchor, and God will not let His chosen one stay anchored to people who keep them beneath their potential. And let's be real, some of you were yoked to people who secretly resented your light. They smiled in your face, but deep down, they were jealous of your spirit. They loved your energy, but hated that it didn't come from them. They were feeding off your anointing without ever feeding into your soul. That wasn't partnership. That was spiritual leeching. And God said, no more. You may be asking, but why did it feel so right in the beginning? Because the enemy knows how to package distraction in a way that feels divine. Not every connection is divine just because it feels intense. Some soul ties are rooted in trauma, not truth. Some chemistry is just familiar dysfunction. And just because they felt like home doesn't mean they were home. Sometimes they felt like home because your wounds were used to the chaos. The relationship had to end because God is calling you higher, into peace, into purpose, into purity. And you can't walk in that if you're tied to confusion, manipulation, and emotional instability. God loves you too much to let you stay bound to something that slowly kills your spirit. That's why He allowed the disconnection. Yes, it hurt. Yes, it broke you. But sometimes God allows the breaking so that He can rebuild you the right way. You thought you needed them to feel whole, but God wanted to show you that your wholeness never came from them. It came from Him. Some of you are still holding on emotionally, even though the breakup happened months or years ago. You're still replaying conversations, still checking their social media, still waiting for closure. But let me tell you the truth. Closure doesn't come from them. Closure comes when you finally accept that God said no. And if God said no, there's a greater yes waiting on the other side. But you can't receive the divine partner, the next level, the open door, until you release the counterfeit connection. Stop trying to resurrect what God already buried. Stop praying for restoration when God is offering you redirection. You are being pruned, not punished. Set free, not forsaken. The relationship had to end because the story wasn't about romance. It was about revelation. God used it to reveal your strength, your worth, your discernment. And now, He's asking you to walk forward with that wisdom. Chosen one, you didn't lose love. You gained clarity. You gained healing. You gained access to a new realm of spiritual maturity. And when the time is right, when your heart is ready, when your soul is whole, God will align you with someone who doesn't just desire you, but honors your purpose. Until then, let go. Not because it didn't matter, but because it already served its purpose. Comment 777 if this word hit your spirit. The old season is over, and what's ahead is greater than anything you've left behind. Spiritual warfare in relationships. Chosen one, there's something most people will never understand, and that's the level of spiritual warfare that surrounds your relationships. The moment you were marked by the Most High, your life became more than just about jobs, friendships, or love. It became a battleground, and one of the enemy's most strategic weapons against the chosen is relationships. Not demons in the dark. Not some mysterious force from afar, but people. People who come wrapped in charm, affection, even love, but are used to subtly pull you out of alignment with your assignment. You need to know this. The enemy doesn't attack your life randomly. He's calculated. He studies your patterns, your past, your wounds, your loneliness. He knows exactly what kind of person can get to your heart. And more often than not, he won't send someone to harm you with obvious evil. He sends someone who looks like the answer to your prayer. But in time, they drain your peace, confuse your mind, and weaken your spirit. This is spiritual warfare. When you're chosen, your heart is powerful. Your love is healing. Your presence shifts atmospheres. And the enemy knows that if he can tie your soul to the wrong person, he doesn't need to destroy you. He can just distract you long enough to make you miss divine timing. He can delay your purpose, dilute your power, and disrupt your focus. That's why you'll notice, every time you get closer to God, someone from your past reappears. Or someone new comes along who looks perfect, but your spirit feels unsettled. That's not coincidence. That's interference. Spiritual warfare in relationships doesn't always look like fighting, cheating, or obvious toxicity. Sometimes it looks like confusion, stagnation, passivity, and spiritual coldness. You'll start praying less. You'll feel distant from God. You'll lose your drive. Your energy drops. Your vision blurs. And before you know it, you're questioning your identity. That's when you know it's not just emotional, it's spiritual. There are people who carry spirits that clash with your purpose. Their presence might feel intoxicating, even magnetic, but behind that surface is an unseen battle. And if you're not discerning, you'll be emotionally invested in someone who is spiritually incompatible. And that's a dangerous place for a chosen one to be. Some of you were in relationships that were spiritually abusive, not in obvious ways, but subtle ones. You lowered your standards to keep peace. You dimmed your light to make them feel comfortable. You held back your spiritual gifts because they didn't understand them. You gave love while receiving confusion. You were loyal to someone who was sent to delay you. That's warfare, chosen one. And here's the deeper truth. Some of those people were not just misaligned. They were assigned, sent by the enemy to attach to your weakness, to pull on your wounds, to activate your old self, not because they're evil, but because they were available for the enemy to use. And you, being full of love and compassion, kept giving chances. You kept hoping they'd change. You kept ignoring the red flags, even when your spirit was screaming that something wasn't right. But you must understand, love is not enough when spiritual destiny is involved. That person may have meant well, but if their presence derails your peace, your clarity, and your walk with God, they are not for you. God is not the author of confusion, and anything or anyone that pulls you out of divine order is not a blessing. It's a distraction disguised as desire. This is why God sometimes has to tear things apart, not because He wants to see you in pain, but because He's fighting for you in realms you can't see. While you're crying over the relationship, He's canceling demonic assignments against your life. While you're asking for restoration, He's working to restore you. He's cutting soul ties that were draining your anointing. He's severing attachments that were silently killing your calling. Chosen one, you cannot afford to be unequally yoked. Your purpose is too great. Your spirit is too sensitive. Your calling is too unique. You're not just building a life, you're building a legacy. You're not just falling in love, you're forming spiritual covenants. And the wrong person in your life can cause divine delay. That's why spiritual warfare doesn't always come in the form of enemies. It often comes through people you love the most. That's why some breakups felt like death. Because they were not just breakups, they were spiritual surgeries. God was removing something toxic from your soul, something that would have cost you more than you realized. And though it felt like heartbreak, it was actually heaven's hand pulling you out of the fire. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're spiritually awake. You're seeing through the veil. That discomfort you felt with them, that lack of peace, that loss of joy, that emptiness even in their presence, it wasn't just emotional, it was discernment. Your spirit knew what your heart didn't want to admit. And if you're still feeling the aftershocks, still thinking about them, still wondering what went wrong, know this: the battle is not over. The enemy doesn't let go easily. He'll send memories, dreams, signs, anything to pull you back into the connection. But you must be vigilant. You must be sober in the spirit. That person wasn't your forever. They were your test. And you passed it by walking away, or by surviving what should have broken you. Now, God is calling you into full spiritual alignment. He wants to pour into you, speak to you, elevate you. But He needs your heart to be fully His again. No more divided loyalties. No more soul confusion. No more warfare through love. Your next level requires peace. It requires clarity. It requires spiritual security. And God is preparing someone who will cover you in prayer. not manipulate you in silence. Someone who will guard your heart, not play with it. But to receive that, you have to stay free from what once tried to destroy you. Chosen one, you've been through enough. Let your healing become your warfare now. Let your wholeness become your revenge. Let your discernment be your shield. Because the war is over, and your victory has already been written. Signs, it was divine disconnection, not a failure. Chosen one, it's time to release the guilt. Let go of the shame. Stop replaying the past, trying to figure out what you could have done differently. The truth is, it didn't fall apart because you failed. It didn't end because you weren't enough. It ended because God stepped in. And when the Most High intervenes, it's not to embarrass you. It's to elevate you. What you experienced was not just a breakup. It was a divine disconnection, a spiritual cutoff, a severing that had to happen for you to step fully into who you are becoming. And when something is divinely disconnected, there will be signs, clear, spiritual signs that God Himself was orchestrating the separation. You just have to look back with new eyes and recognize what was really happening in the spirit. One of the first signs is the inner tug you felt before anything actually went wrong. Long before the arguments, before the silence, before the final goodbye, you felt it. That spiritual nudge that something was off. Maybe you couldn't explain it. Maybe you ignored it. But deep in your soul, you knew. That's not anxiety, chosen one. That's the Holy Spirit alerting you. It was God trying to prepare you for the release. Then came the shift. Things started to feel forced. Conversations lacked depth. Peace began to vanish. You may have even started to feel like you were betraying yourself just to keep the connection alive. You gave more but received less. You were constantly overthinking, constantly shrinking, constantly adjusting, while they stayed the same. That's because your spirit was growing, but the relationship wasn't. And when something no longer grows with you, it will either break apart or break you down. Another sign it was, divine disconnection, is how fast everything fell apart after you prayed for clarity. Some of you asked God to show you the truth, and suddenly the mask slipped. You saw their real intentions. The conversations changed. The energy shifted. Don't take that lightly. That was not coincidence. That was your prayer being answered. And sometimes the answer doesn't come in the form of healing. It comes in the form of revealing. Notice how the chaos started right before your spiritual awakening or elevation. That's not random either. God often removes people before promotion. He knows who can't go with you. Not because they're evil, but because their presence would poison the next level. What looked like a heartbreak was actually heaven protecting your promise. Another confirmation is the growth you experienced after the breakup. Yes, it hurt. Yes, you were confused. But deep down, you started feeling lighter, clearer, more connected to yourself. You began rediscovering who you were before you tried to mold yourself into who they wanted you to be. You started praying again, creating again, breathing again. You remembered your worth. That's not what failure looks like. That's what freedom looks like. Chosen one. Real failure is staying somewhere God has already left. Real failure is holding on to what God has already cut off. The fact that you walked away, or survived when they walked away, is proof that you're aligned with heaven's will. The enemy wants you to think you lost something. But if it was sent to destroy your spirit, steal your peace, or delay your purpose, it was never truly yours. What God removes, He replaces with better. Always. You know it was divine disconnection because, looking back, it all makes sense now. At the time, your emotions clouded your vision. But now, you see it. You see how much of yourself you were sacrificing. You see how spiritually stagnant you were. You see how drained, how anxious, how silenced you felt. And now that you're out of it, you can breathe again. That's your confirmation. Some of you even felt relief the moment it ended, even though your heart was broken. That strange mix of grief and peace, that's not confusion. That's your soul exhaling. That's your spirit recognizing it's been released from something heavy. Don't ignore that feeling. That's not weakness, that's alignment. God's disconnections are not chaotic. They may be painful, but they come with clarity. with revelation, with growth. You stopped begging. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped trying to prove your worth. And the moment you stopped, the healing began. That's a sign of divine interference. And perhaps the most powerful sign is this. Since the relationship ended, you've gotten closer to God. You've had dreams, insights, warnings, wisdom you never had before. The fog lifted. The noise stopped. You can hear His voice again. And that chosen one is everything. When a relationship blocks your ability to hear from God, it has to go. Period. So, let go of the regret. You didn't fail. You were freed. It was a divine disconnection to preserve your destiny. And sometimes God doesn't explain before He removes. He doesn't always give you a full map. Sometimes He just says, "Trust me." And when you obey that still small voice, even when it breaks your heart, you are not walking in failure. You are walking in faith. You are not abandoned. You are redirected. You are not alone. You are protected. Everything you thought was rejection was really God's hand pulling you out before it cost you everything. And when God removes, He also restores. The divine replacement is coming, but it only comes to the ones who let go of what He disconnected. Chosen one, this was never the end of your story. It was the beginning of your rebirth. And if you're seeing the signs now, it means you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Trust it, honor it, and walk boldly into the future God is calling you to. Comment 999 if your spirit now sees it clearly. This wasn't failure. This was divine protection, divine pruning, and divine positioning. And your next chapter will prove why it had to happen exactly the way it did. God's protection disguised as rejection. Chosen one of the hardest pills to swallow on this spiritual journey is this. What you saw as rejection was actually God's protection. That person walking away, that door closing, that silence after all your effort, it wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to save you. And though your heart didn't understand it in the moment, your spirit is now awakening to a deeper truth. God rescued you through what hurt you. Let's get real. That person you cried over, prayed for, tried to hold on to, tried to fix, God allowed them to exit your life because they were not part of your divine assignment. You wanted them. You loved them. You were loyal to them. But they were contaminating your spirit. They were distracting your focus. They were derailing your growth. And no matter how much potential you saw in them, God saw the truth behind the potential. There's a version of you that would have stayed longer, that would have settled, compromised, tolerated, endured, all in the name of love. But God saw that version becoming smaller and smaller. He saw you dimming your light to keep someone who wasn't even praying for your soul. He saw you justifying behavior that broke your spirit. And because He loves you, He allowed the rejection to protect the anointing on your life. Chosen one, some rejections are not because of what you did wrong, but because of who you are becoming. Your destiny is so high, so heavy, so purposeful, that certain people can't go with you. They may have been good to you, but they weren't good for you. And when God sees danger that you can't see, emotional, spiritual, or even physical, He steps in. You prayed for God to order your steps, didn't you? You asked Him to align your life, elevate your purpose, and remove anything that wasn't meant for you. But here's the truth many don't realize. Sometimes the answer to that prayer is a rejection. It comes in the form of someone not choosing you, not fighting for you, not staying. And though it bruises your heart, it's actually building your protection. The rejection taught you what real peace feels like. It taught you what alignment sounds like. It made you turn inward and upward. You started seeking God again. You started praying not for people to return, but for wisdom to never repeat the cycle. That shift, that spiritual pivot, is proof that the rejection served its purpose. It didn't break you. It birthed you. Let's tell the truth. You were never rejected by God. You were redirected by God. That person rejecting you wasn't the final authority over your worth. Their absence does not define your value. What they couldn't carry, God will place in the hands of someone who is equipped and aligned. But first, He had to remove what was blocking the blessing. Sometimes God lets the connection break so he can heal the parts of you that thought love had to come through suffering. So he can restore the parts of you that thought being chosen meant being tolerated. No, chosen one. Being chosen means being protected at all costs, even if that cost is your own comfort. The pain you felt? It had purpose. That goodbye? It had grace written all over it. That silence you got from them? It was a holy pause that gave you room to breathe again. And I know it hurt. I know you felt discarded, unseen, unworthy. But I also know you're still standing. And not just standing. You're wiser. You've gained discernment. You're no longer begging for what doesn't belong to you. That's the power of divine rejection. Some of you were confused when they left after everything you poured into them. You gave loyalty, love, support, forgiveness, and still they walked away. But let me tell you something that will set you free. When God's hand is on your life, He won't let anything or anyone keep you in bondage, even if it looks like love on the surface. He will allow rejection to feel final because He doesn't want you to return to a prison disguised as a partnership. There are conversations God heard that you didn't. There were intentions behind their words you couldn't see. There were battles in the spirit realm that were happening on your behalf. You only saw the breakup. God saw the spiritual blockage being removed. The same way a parent pulls a child back from running into traffic, God will pull you back from relationships that look safe, but are actually destructive. You might kick, scream, cry, but in time, you'll see that He saved you. You'll thank Him for every unanswered prayer, for every no, for every delay, for every person who didn't show up. One day soon, you will look back and say, if they hadn't rejected me, I would have never found myself. I would have never found God the way I did. I would have never stepped into this level of peace. And that is when you'll finally see it clearly. The rejection was never rejection. It was redirection. It was protection. It was love. So lift your head, chosen one. Dry your tears. Don't keep asking why they left. Start thanking God they did. That door didn't close to hurt you. It closed to hide you, to shield you, to preserve your oil. Your purpose is too sacred to be shared with someone who couldn't honor it. And now that you're free, the path is open for someone who will love you, not just in emotion, but in spirit. You're not less than. You're not forgotten. You were covered. You were protected. And your next blessing won't require you to beg, shrink, or prove your worth. It will recognize you instantly, because it will be sent by God, just like the rejection was. Healing and reclaiming your divine power. Chosen one, now that the truth has been revealed and the storm has passed, you may find yourself standing in the aftermath, alone, reflective, and maybe even a little uncertain. But let me tell you something your spirit already knows. This is not the end. This is the beginning of your healing, the awakening of your divine power, and the restoration of everything that was stolen, broken, or buried. Healing is not about pretending you're okay. It's not about rushing through the pain or slapping on fake positivity. No, healing for the chosen one is sacred work. It's soul deep. It's a divine process that requires you to sit with the pain, not run from it. To feel it fully, so it can release its grip on you. Because the pain you don't face is the pain that keeps you bound. Some of you have spent years pouring your love, your energy, your loyalty into someone who couldn't see you. Someone who mistreated the divine within you. And now you're left with the residue, grief, confusion, resentment. But here's what I need you to understand. Those emotions are not your identity. They are signals, temporary visitors. They are not who you are. You are not your heartbreak. You are not your past. You are not what they did to you. You are divinely chosen, and that means your healing is not just for survival. It's for resurrection. The first step in reclaiming your divine power is forgiveness. Not for them, for you. Forgiveness is how you cut the spiritual cord that keeps you tied to the wound. It doesn't mean you excuse the betrayal or pretend it didn't hurt. It means you are refusing to let it own you anymore. You are taking your power back from every memory, every lie, every time you felt unworthy. You are saying, "This ends with me." Forgiveness is the soil in which your divine self will rise again. Next comes self-remembrance. You must remember who you were before the heartbreak clouded your vision, before the confusion silenced your voice, before you started shrinking to make others feel big. You must return to the truth that you are sacred, powerful, and whole. Chosen one, it's time to reclaim your spiritual authority. You've spent too much time looking for validation in human love when you were created to be fueled by divine love. No more begging for someone to see your worth. No more waiting for closure. No more chasing ghosts. The season of lack is over. Now begins the season of restoration. When you reclaim your divine power, you start moving differently. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop watering relationships that never fed your soul. You stand tall, not in pride, but in spiritual confidence. Because you now understand that being chosen means you don't need to force anything. What's for you will recognize you. What's for you will flow with you. It won't drain your spirit or confuse your heart. It will honor the divine within you without question. And while you heal, don't be surprised if old thoughts or people try to return. That's the enemy's final attempt to keep you bound. When your light starts to rise, the darkness will try one last time to pull you back. But now, you're not the same. You've seen too much. You've grown too strong. Your spirit is too awake to fall for old tricks. You've learned, and your discernment is your sword now. Reclaiming your divine power also means reclaiming your voice. Speak life over yourself again. Speak affirmations that align with heaven's truth. I am healed. I am whole. I am chosen. I release the past. I walk in divine power. These aren't just words. They are declarations that rewire your atmosphere. They shift your energy. They remind every spirit around you that you are no longer broken. You are becoming. And let me say this clearly. You are not hard to love. You are just loving people who weren't ready for someone like you. Your love is rare. Your heart is sacred. Your loyalty is gold. The right person will not misuse that. The right person will recognize the divine jewel you are. And until they arrive, you're going to love yourself the way you always deserve to be loved. That means resting, nourishing your soul, praying not just for others, but for yourself, being present with your own healing, allowing yourself joy again, reclaiming your dreams, walking boldly, laughing freely, creating again, loving again, living again. Because this is your resurrection. The ashes of that broken relationship have fertilized the soil for your rebirth, and you are rising, not bitter, but better, not wounded, but wiser, not broken, but brilliant. You are not a victim of what happened. You are the living testimony that healing is holy and power is your birthright. Chosen one, your story isn't ending in heartbreak. It's only just beginning in divine power. And the next chapter of your life will not require you to prove, to perform, or to suffer. It will ask only that you walk as the person you've always been, whole, wise, radiant, and fully aligned with the Most High. So take a breath. Take your crown. Take your place. Your healing is here. And your power has always been waiting for you to remember who you are. Your kingdom partner can only come when you let go. Chosen one, I need you to hear this loud and clear. Your kingdom partner cannot enter until you let go of what was never meant to stay. You've been holding space in your heart, your thoughts, even your prayers for someone who was only sent for a season. But the divine partner you're praying for, the one who will walk with you in purpose, not just pleasure, can only arrive when the door is fully closed on the counterfeit. You say you're ready for love, but are you truly available? Emotionally, spiritually, energetically? Because as long as your heart is entangled with the past, there's no room for God to release the new. And let's be honest, many of you are still checking their page, still replaying conversations, still holding on to hope that maybe one day they'll come back and get it right. But here's the truth. They were not your kingdom partner. If they were, they wouldn't have pulled you away from your peace, your prayer life, your purpose. Your kingdom partner will never make you question your worth or ask you to shrink your spirit. They won't silence your anointing. They'll protect it, nurture it, and walk in agreement with it. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't love deeply. It means you love yourself and God's plan more than the illusion. It means you finally trust that what's coming is greater than what's gone. Because the kingdom partner God is preparing for you isn't just about romantic companionship. They are part of your mission. They are your divine alignment, not just a date night. So why does God wait until you've truly let go before bringing them in? Because anything less than full surrender keeps your heart divided. God is not going to send someone who carries his spirit into a soul still carrying confusion. He loves you too much to bless you prematurely. He needs you healed, whole, and ready. And that means releasing not just the person, but the idea of who you thought they were, the hope that they'd change, and the fantasy of what could have been. Some of you are still loyal to a version of the past that never existed. You're holding on to memories that were more about your desire than about reality. But God saw what you couldn't see. He saw the private intentions behind the public affection. He saw the spiritual imbalance beneath the emotional bond. And he said, "No more. I have something better." Your kingdom partner isn't coming to fix your brokenness. They're coming to build with your wholeness. But first, that wholeness must be claimed. You cannot attract divine alignment while clinging to what heaven already shut down. You cannot walk into the new while worshiping what was. God is patient, but he will not force your blessing into a heart still tied to bondage. Letting go may feel like death, but it's actually deliverance. It's the spiritual detox your soul needs to clear the space. And when you finally release it, fully, not halfway, your posture changes. Your prayers change. Your energy shifts. You start walking with boldness, discernment, peace. And that's when the alignment begins. Your kingdom partner isn't perfect, but they are purposed. They will meet you at your healed level, not your hurting one. They're going to speak to your spirit, not manipulate your mind. They're not coming to be entertained. They're coming to build legacy. They won't feel like confusion. They won't play games with your soul. They will come with clarity, consistency, and confirmation from God. But don't expect to receive that level of partnership if you're still romanticizing emotional chaos. Don't ask God for a kingdom spouse while tolerating spiritual dysfunction. Your heart has to be postured to receive the kind of love that doesn't just make you feel good but makes you better, stronger, more focused, more aligned. This is why the waiting season matters. It's not punishment, it's preparation. In this time, God is refining your discernment. He's increasing your spiritual authority. He's teaching you what love really is, not attachment, not obsession, not emotional highs and lows. Love is alignment, security, and spiritual unity. Letting go also means letting go of timelines. It means surrendering your idea of when it should happen and trusting in divine timing. God's plan is never delayed. It's being prepared. And your job is not to rush the blessing, but to become the blessing. So ask yourself, am I truly ready for the kind of love I'm praying for? Is my heart still tethered to something or someone that God has already released me from? Am I willing to close the door so heaven can open the right one? Your kingdom partner is already being shaped. Their heart is being stirred. Their path is being aligned with yours. But they cannot meet a version of you that's still living in the shadows of the past. You must be free. You must be whole. You must be willing to receive love without resistance. Chosen one. God didn't let that old thing last because he has something sacred waiting. And when it comes, you'll know. It won't feel like survival. It will feel like peace, like purpose, like divine confirmation. But until then, let go. Release it fully. Grieve it if you must, but don't go back to it. Don't entertain it. Don't revisit it. Trust that what God removes, he replaces with greater. And when your kingdom partner arrives, you'll thank God for every delay, every tear, and every closed door that prepared you for the blessing you were always destined to receive. What God is doing in you right now. Chosen one, listen closely, because this right here is your divine confirmation. This is not just a video you're watching. This is a prophetic encounter, a spiritual moment where heaven is speaking directly into your soul. And if you've made it this far, it means your spirit was ready. God has been working in you silently, steadily, and supernaturally, even while you thought nothing was happening. even while you were broken, confused, and wondering, why me? Let me tell you why you. Because you were called. Because you were chosen. Because there's a weight on your life that cannot be ignored. You've been through fire. You've been through isolation. You've had doors slammed in your face. You've been rejected, abandoned, misunderstood. And through it all, God was not punishing you. He was processing you. Right now, in this very season, God is rebuilding you from the inside out. He's not just patching you up. He's transforming you. What the enemy tried to use to destroy your spirit, God is using to elevate it. You're not the same. You feel it. The way you see things has shifted. The things that used to shake you don't have the same power anymore. That's not because you've grown stronger on your own. It's because God is now living louder in you. This season of your life is sacred. It may feel quiet on the outside. It may even look like nothing is moving. But internally, spiritually, there's a deep divine activation happening. God is removing everything that doesn't align. Not just people, but patterns, habits, thoughts, old emotional cycles. He's pulling them up from the root so that the real you can emerge. You are shedding layers that no longer serve who you're becoming. You are releasing attachments that were secretly choking your spirit. You are healing wounds you forgot were still bleeding. You are reclaiming your voice. You are remembering your identity. You are finally starting to see yourself the way heaven always saw you. This is not just healing, it's divine preparation. Because what God is about to do through you requires a new vessel, a clean heart, a clear mind, a healed soul. He's not going to pour new oil into broken places that leak. He's sealing you, strengthening you, positioning you. And it had to begin with a breaking. That's why the relationship ended. That's why the pain came. Because God had to strip away what was blocking your glory. Right now, God is giving you something you haven't had in a long time. Clarity. He's helping you see through the fog. You're not confused anymore. You're no longer questioning whether you heard him right. You know now. You can feel the shift. You're starting to recognize what aligns with your soul and what drains it. You're starting to spot the counterfeits faster. You're starting to trust your discernment again. This clarity is not just a gift, it's a weapon, because now you move differently. You no longer settle. You no longer beg. You no longer tolerate what you've outgrown spiritually. That's what God is doing in you. He's restoring your divine standard. He's making you unshakable, immovable, spiritually alert. And he's not just working on your heart. He's awakening your purpose. Some of you have felt a new fire lately. A sense that there's more for you. That you're supposed to be doing something bigger, something higher. That's not random. That's the Spirit of God stirring the gift inside you. You've been quiet too long, hidden too long, afraid too long. But that ends now. This is your activation moment. God is calling you to step up, step out, and step into the fullness of your calling. No more waiting for permission. No more shrinking to make others comfortable. No more trying to fit into places you were sent to transform. You are not here to blend in. You are here to break chains, to shift atmospheres, to change generations. Everything you've been through, the heartbreak, the silence, the rejection, it all served a divine purpose. It birthed the warrior in you. It matured your spirit. It qualified you for what's next. You didn't lose anything. You gained spiritual muscle. You gained discernment. You gained access. And now, God is about to release you. Release you into divine opportunities. Release you into rooms where your name has already been spoken. Release you into relationships that pour into you instead of draining you. Release you into divine timing, divine favor, divine connection. But you must be ready. You must believe that you are worthy, that you are not too broken, that you are not too late, that your best days weren't left behind you. They are ahead, and they're coming quicker than you think. But your posture matters. Your obedience matters. Your faith matters. Chosen one. What God is doing in you right now is more than healing. He's resurrecting your spirit. He's equipping you for legacy. He's preparing you for purposeful love, not just emotional comfort. He's activating your voice, your vision, and your divine authority. He's not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to be available, to stay close, to trust the process even when it still hurts a little. You didn't come this far just to survive. You came this far to lead, to shine, to build, to love boldly, and to walk in power. And it starts now, not when everything looks right, not when others approve. It starts with you, right here, right now, saying, "Yes, Lord, I receive it." So receive it. Receive the healing. Receive the closure. Receive the clarity. Receive the new beginning. This is your activation. This is your spiritual rising. This is your divine moment. Chosen one, type 888 in the comments if you feel your spirit waking up. If this word hit your soul like a confirmation straight from heaven, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with another chosen one. And if you haven't already, subscribe and tap the bell, because the next message will build you even more. God is not finished with you. In fact, He's just getting started.